God, I can't even see that. Mic, done, ready. Welcome to today's episode of Lama Drives, where Von drives, for March 4th, 2019. How you doing, Von?
I'm doing good.
You're doing good? It's end of days. End of day, not end of days. That's a bad thing, but we are driving into the sun today, and we're heading home from Melbourne.
That's right.
You were a bit tired, but lots of energy to get through some topics in regards to cycling, what's new, what we've seen, and just generally shooting the breeze as we kill time on our drive home. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Today's topics include safety sensors on cars getting in the way of the Pro Peloton, Junior Pro Peloton, SBS Cycling Central podcast that I was on today. That's why I'm down in Melbourne today. Zwift DiscGate. Ooh, what's that all about? Zwift had an FTP ramp test and a few other things to tidy up on. We haven't spoken to Von about her new saddle, which is no longer new, but we'll catch up with Von with your new saddle after you've been out riding quite a bit. It's still, well, it's not summer here anymore, but anyway, that's my list of topics. Let's kick off today. Have you seen the video?
I have not.
Let me play the video here. That's not ideal.
I still haven't seen the video.
Okay, Von's now seen the video because we've just played it just then. I'm adding it in post. Okay, so what happens there is that the lead car, if you're not familiar with how cycling racing works, I'm sure you do, but just in case, a lead car will sort of go along slowly to make sure the bunch is all together before the flag is waved.
In the neutral zone.
In the neutral zone, and then the race then starts. It's a little unfair if someone's off the back with a mechanical, and they sort of neutralise the race until it starts. A few of the riders there were up alongside the car, and what it looked to have happened, or what appeared to have happened, was for me, my first take on that was that the driver jumped on the brakes because they were pissed off with the riders encroaching on or past the car. You can't go past the car.
Speed camera.
Oh, speed camera. So it looked like the driver jumped on the brakes, but there's no way in hell they'd ever do that because they've got riders right behind them. And we even discussed this on the SBS podcast today. We weren't quite sure whether the driver was in a manual and was an auto driver, or who knows what happened until I looked a little closer at what it was. And it's the same as this car here. We've got an Outback, it's a Subaru. That was a Renault, that was the lead car.
Yeah.
The commissaire is out the window here and had put his arm... what did I call it? Out the window. Well, it's the vertical window, horizontal. It's the uppity window. Put his arm out, and I'll play it on the video slowly here so you can catch what I'm saying. His arm goes over the auto braking sensor.
Oh, so if in case you don't rear end the car, it will sense if there's something in front of the vehicle and put an auto stop on things. We have that in this car.
It's happened in this car. I've driven under a tree branch that was low, and the car goes bang to a stop.
Yeah.
Because it detected that there was something. This isn't somebody on Twitter today said, "Oh, yeah, God help us with self-driving cars when a leaf falls onto the car." This is really rudimentary. This is what real basic stuff. We're not going to see this kind of tech in self-driving cars. It's going to be a lot better than that. It's version 1, so to speak, of intelligent driving. That's what happened. The guy put his arm out, and it's instant because I looked at the characteristics of how the car came to a complete stop, and that's exactly what happens. Because it thinks something is like the car is going to hit something.
Yes.
Anyway, that's what happened there. I thought that was very, very interesting. Who's to blame in that situation? I'll give your take on that. Who would you blame on that?
Well, in theory, you would say it's the person driving the car, but the person driving the car has no control over the person out the top of the roof that's going to trigger an auto stop. The part on the car, you probably can't see it through the camera. It's just, we've got the eyesight on the Outback here, which is just above here. There's no way for me to reach that when we're in the car. I'd have to pop out. It's protected, yeah.
I'd have to pop out there, and I can't because the taller racks are on the roof there. I'd have to, I can't get to that part to show you how that works, and it's probably not advisable me trying that at 110 k's an hour. Okay, so you say the driver, or you say...
Well, I would say, understanding what the issue was, it is actually the fault of the passenger.
Well, the passenger shouldn't be hanging out the roof of the car anyway.
Yes.
I'd say 100% on the driver.
Okay.
They did not... There's one button to disable that.
Okay, yeah.
It's over the other side of the steering wheel there. There's one button to disable it. So the pre-flight checks weren't done correctly by the driver.
Yeah.
But I don't think they could ever,
anticipate that was going to occur, yeah.
But it did. That's a problem. It needs to be addressed. So I put it solely on the driver. The roof guy, race director, Mr. Flag, was doing his job, and you can see as the anyway, I've overanalyzed it way too much. You can see that as soon as the arm goes anywhere near that sensor, bang, and then the car stops and he puts his hand over the whole thing. So there's no backing out.
No, literally. You don't want to back out over those riders.
Yeah, lucky there's no auto reverse in that. So anyway, that's my take on that. Let us know your thoughts below. I think it's the driver who should have known how to turn that off first. Auto sensors and things in normal driving, fine. When you're using a car for a special event like that with riders all around you, and it's not normal driving. Anyway, next topic: Cycling Central SBS podcast. I've known of this podcast for a while.
Yeah.
Christoph, Dave Macker, Mackenzie on there. They've had special guests on there. Sophie Smith jumps on every now and then from SBS. Pat Shaw has been on there as well. Quite a few people. They bring people in and out, and today was my turn.
So what's the format of the podcast?
General banter.
So it's just similar to what we're doing here today?
Yeah, but probably more structured, more professional. It's SBS, who's Australia's special broadcasting service.
Okay.
They are, look, are they government funded? I'm not sure. They're kind of got commercials as well. It's anyhow, they do a lot of. How would you say? How would you explain SBS television? It's not community based. It's
but
more international.
Where we have our. I've just had a mental blank.
It's where all our cycling is.
Yeah, all of our cycling is pretty much shown externally. But also all of our subtitled foreign films are on that channel as well.
Yeah, there's a few nudie films late at night on SBS. That's the joke that goes around. They've got multiple channels now with Viceland, SBS2, but it is our home of cycling on television and live streams.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to be a part of that. So today's chat about pro cycling, because the Spring Classics have kicked off. Is it Spring Classics?
Oh yeah.
Hang on, let me get my...
Yeah, because it's just come out of winter.
Yes, okay, spring, yes, because we're going into autumn now. The leaves are changing around here, which is quite depressing. So we're going into autumn. Spring Classics have started, so was it the Het Nieuwsblad? Was it the...
I think is the first one, yeah.
Yep.
Loretta was racing in that one.
And the women's racing on that one as well.
Yep.
So all those kicking off, so a chat about that, but also a chat about the track worlds that we're on. One thing I brought up was Ashley Ann Kudinoff winning the women's IP individual pursuit world champ, so world champ stripes for Australia, plus all the other riders doing all their things, and the men's pursuit team smashing the world record and
so
times.
The women's pursuit team.
Yep. So we had a bit of a chat about that. Caleb Ewan's win in the UAE tour.
Yeah.
Up that steep ass hill, right at the end. Caleb is a flatland sprinter. He won up this absolute berg of a berg. So good.
Long berg or short berg?
Very short berg at the end, steep berg.
It's not the one that Sagan has won on previously, is it?
Oh, I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me to see Sagan win on something like that.
Yeah.
But this was like brutally hard. Anyway, Caleb took the win there from that stage, so we had a bit of a chat about that, and all things bike, and then over to my expertise, which was all things tech.
Oh, cool.
A link below to that podcast. I've sent it out through my social channels and put it up on YouTube as a community tab link.
Cool.
So that was really cool. Being in the room, talking, I can talk bikes all day.
Yeah, sorry, you're not boring. I'm just really tired.
Sad face.
I'm yawning. Sorry.
I try and keep you excited by talking about the SBS Cycling Central podcast, which I started on today.
I can't wait to hear more about it.
It was a bit of fun, but it was just general cycling banter. And I mean, again, with people who really know their shit about bikes and cycling and what's going on. And it wasn't just I wasn't brought in just for the tech segment at the end. It was interesting to ping a few things off Macca. They were talking about someone's form in the Paris-Nice. Is that form, if you win Paris-Nice stage race, is that form indicative of how you're going to do at the Tour? Or is the Dauphiné more indicative of how you're going to... So we discussed that. Also, if Caleb wins a few stages, maybe a monument in the lead up to the tour, does that command him more respect in the bunch at the tour? So I was sort of pinging these questions and these ideas off the guys, and just the energy. Like, talking bikes, you know what it's about. It's all good. Cool. Next up on the list here, Zwift DiscGate.
Ooh.
I have had the disc in Zwift. So the disc, everybody wants the disc in Zwift. So it's the 808 front, this the Super 9 Zipp disc at the rear, the disc combination. We're way down the rabbit hole of a virtual game and virtual stuff, but this is a topic that a lot of people are passionate about.
Yeah, I had to have it.
See? So for the first 24 hours of the drop shop opening, that was an option to purchase.
Yeah.
And then another update came out. It had been disappeared. It's gone. It had been wheeled out of the shop. Z-robbery had taken place. Z-robbery. The disc had gone, and everybody, and the community, Zwift riders, people on Twitter and Instagram, I've got my disc. Finally got my disc. Excellent. My first purchase was my disc. Everyone was super happy about it. And I think as Zwift News Network, the parody joking account, it's not a real account, tweeted out that, Zwift found out that people were very, very happy with one of the updates, so they had to remove it.
Oh, that's a good parody.
Put the link there to the Zwift News Network is a parody joking account like CNN, but not, but yeah. Anyway, very funny. So the disc is gone.
Okay.
The 808 you can't select the 808 disc combo, it's gone. If you got in early in the first 24 hours,
yes, that's
happy
me.
days, you purchased it. There is a bit of a trick. The iOS version hasn't been updated yet, but they're still on the first version of the drop shop. If you're very quick, and I cannot mention this, but let's just say between you and me, that... And by the time this gets posted, I'm sure the iOS update has gone out anyway.
Yeah. Get on your phones, people.
Quick! God damn, quick! You can still buy
Spend your drops.
It's only 300,000 drops, which is... Everyone should have that. Anyhow, DiscGate, it came and then it left. We didn't know whether it was meant to be there or meant to be removed. We didn't know which was the bug.
Well, why would it not need to be there? It was there. Why would they take it away? Huh?
Mistakes can be made, and we have official word via one of the game designers on Slow Twitch down another rabbit hole that it wasn't meant to be there. so quick,
Oops.
Get yourself the disc. It looks pretty cool. Also in the latest update that dropped was the FTP ramp test in Zwift. Zwift finally have their own FTP ramp test. They've had the FTP estimation test in there, which was the 20-minute test, which had a brutal warm-up.
That was so horrible.
I attempted that once, and I gave up on the warm-up.
Yeah.
Brutal warm-up. So there have been some changes in workout mode to allow them to do the step test using absolute watts, not relative to your FTP watts, plus also do some calculations when you've finished. The FTP test protocol is, it simply raises your power, starting at about 100 watts, I think it's 100, 20 watts every 1 minute, until you pop, until you can't. So failure is the result of this. You will fail. You have to fail.
Yes, at some point.
At the end, hopefully not at the start. And then the last completed segment, 75% of that is your estimated FTP. It is only an estimate. That's it. Only an estimate. It'll give you a good indication based on a bell curve of data. And this is science based on, I think it's the Canoni test from many years ago. A lot of people are out there saying that Zwift have copied Trainer Road. No. Stephen Lane and I, Dr. Stephen Lane and I, did a step test for Zwift in 2016. No one's copying anyone here. They're just simply applying the science. It's been around for a long time.
That's right.
Cycle coaching. Von, you did step tests with Slane.
Oh my goodness.
Way
well
back.
Before. Yep. And on VO2 Max machine, all of that stuff.
Proper machine. So this is just an application of this. And look, for a platform to be well-rounded, especially when it's based all on FTP, they need a good FTP test, or one that doesn't make you suffer for 20 minutes after slopping yourself all over the ground with that warm-up on the previous, horrible previous one.
Yeah.
So it's out, it's there, it's pretty cool, it works well. I'll be running through it this week, maybe in private. So I waited for that look. I hate step tests. They're too honest. They tell you exactly what you don't want to know. My best ever step tests are when you're on peak form. But when you're ever on peak form, like once,
that's
twice,
not realistic.
Once or twice, exactly. They're probably a better better indicator when you're not on peak form to know where to train your zones at. But this is only FTP. Other platforms such as Sufferfest have the 4DP, which is the 4-dimensional power profiling, which does a multiple range of tests to know your sprint power, because a monster sprinter may have a hopeless FTP, or a time trialist may have a brilliant FTP but a crap sprint. So if I was a TTer, which I still identify as a time trialist, high threshold but crap sprint, or crap lower range, the prescribed sprinting numbers may be well out. So Sufferfest have taken that and developed that. So if anything, when it's FTP, it's not copying. If Zwift were to release a 4ZP, sure, then you got a problem with copyright and trademarks and IP. But for this, no, not at all. What it is though, it's more people being introduced to FTP, proper testing, better numbers, better estimations, and that'll be refined over time. We spoke today on the Zwift Cycling Central podcast. Actually, well, it's sponsored by Zwift. That's their sponsor, so it's a Cycling Central podcast. Using the data from previous uploads of years and years of uploads to then identify where your strengths and weaknesses are, etc. So using big data, and I'm sure companies are looking at this. I've got a suspicion Trainer Road are going to do something funky with the data. They're pretty coy about whenever that's mentioned. Well, what next, guys? What with the big data? They're like, I've got my eye on you, Trainer Road. We'll see what happens. But companies, data, application of that, better things for better riders, better experiences on the bike, and better training, I'm all for it. Regardless of who does it.
And I like the fact that Zwift have implemented it now so that it's an easier way to test your own protocol yourself rather than having to do the 20-minute test and also to go out and get someone else to test it for you as well, using the same methodology. The
step test that Slane and I did on Zwift required you to download a file, put it in a directory, set your FTP to 100, and then do some math on that later on, because it took into account how far you got through the last bin or the last step before you actually popped. So this automates all of that. Workout mode has had a few tweaks in Zwift. Stay tuned for that. Yes, workout mode. I'm all about trying to improve the experience for everyone. What are they doing to esports? Great, FTP test great, but what next? What about for everyone? And there is a few tweaks in workout mode that have been implemented for this test to come along. Anyway, I'll do a few videos on that when I've got a chance to update the Lama Lab videos or Lama Lab workouts and things. And I can finally publish the Lama Lab test as I wanted it to be published. I sound like an artist saying, oh no, I want it to be hung on this wall in this certain light at this humidity. No, I wanted the Lama Lab test to be 200 watts, 250 watts into a sprint, and then my watts, which are going to be different. It's going to be different to Von, but what that allows me to do is people to do the Lama Lab test themselves, and then we can compare them. Rather than Von do the Lama Lab test at 125 watts and then 175 watts, and then they're different absolute watts. There is a tweak now that will allow me to do this.
Fantastic.
Happy days. Moving forward. What else is up on the cards here? Von.
Yes.
Your saddle, the Specialized Mimic saddle.
It is.
That you switched for. We've spoken about this before. Man, that sun is bright. Look at that.
I can't see it. It's behind my visor.
Problem solved. Your Mimic saddle.
Yes.
Which I called the Vagine. Because it was
that's what it's mimicking.
Well, I hope not. Anyway, you've been out for a few rides. How's it going? Just give us an update on the Vagine.
So we installed it just before Festive 500. And so it's been a few months now. It's been fantastic.
Okay.
I have to say, once I had that initial position dialed in, and there's been a couple of rides where I've dashed out the door just to get out for a ride and not even applied chamois cream. And fantastic. No major issues, I have to say. So I feared the worst.
New saddles are always a gamble.
Yeah.
I'm always searching for a new saddle. Even if I'm happy with the one I've got, saddles aren't the most comfortable thing, even when you find a good one. So it's like, is there something better? And that's why I went from the Power Saddle over to the Stealth Pro.
Yes.
I then rode the Power Saddle again on the older TCR. I can't refer it to as the blue TCR. Both my bikes are blue TCRs. And didn't have a problem with it. I've just got a climbing stairs goal in the car.
I'm glad that you've been ascending while sitting down, not moving.
Thanks, Garmin. Yeah, so I rode the power saddle and I can switch between the two. No props.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I would probably be able to switch between the two, except I've only got one bike. So,
how's that going? Speaking of the one bike.
There's always room for more bikes in my life.
Any progress? Any web clicks? Any?
I did see a CX bike that looked pretty exciting on the weekend.
Yeah, you handed me the phone with a CX bike on it and asked me to have a look. Wasn't Di2.
Didn't need to be. It's a one by.
Oh, that's even worse. That's even worse. So Von obviously, and that's actually another thing we spoke about on the Cycling Central podcast today was if you want to know the real story behind what goes on for the technical side of bike racing, because we were talking about the spring classics being the cobbles and the Strada Nero, or is it Strada Bianchi? Which one's here? Strada Nero is the one here. It's the Strada Bianchi that's coming up.
Yes.
I said, follow all the mechanics on Twitter if you can. You'll get the real behind the scenes and a few of the emotionals. So Aqua Blue, is that the team? Yeah. So I'm going to say
with all the all blue kit.
Yeah, it was Aqua Blue. I'm pretty sure it was Aqua. Then they had the one by bikes in the Pro Peloton, the first ones to test the one by group sets, and their mechanics were like off the leash on Twitter. They didn't like them at all. Anyway, down the rabbit hole with that one. Keep an eye on some Pro Mechanic Twitter accounts. We should have a little follow group for those guys. Anyhow, so one by has its place. The place isn't here out on the road. Not yet.
It's out on the gravel with the CX action.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll give that a no. Anything else coming up in the next week or so? Have you got a few rides, or you squeezing the most out of summer?
Well, we've got a long weekend coming up in Victoria this coming weekend, so I'm going to be getting out on the bike for that, for sure.
All right. I'll keep an eye on your Strava.
Yes.
I will be
on a plane.
Heading to the States. I'm just simply going over there to get some more Cliff Bars.
Good, because you ate all the ones I just brought back last week.
I will be over.
You weren't even on the bike eating them. I saw you just sitting at the dining room table eating Cliff Bars. What the hell?
Who's with me? Bike food is always food.
No.
It's like breakfast. Breakfast cereal is all day food.
Oh yeah, I'll pay that.
Carbs. Got to have the carbs. All right, I'll leave it there for today. It's been a short one. It's been a fun one, and we're still awake. So it's happy days. I'm heading over to Zwift Week. That's what I'm heading over to. It's part of the Zwift cast that I'm a panelist on. It's all podcasts. It's all happening.
Yeah.
And there might be even more podcasts happening soon.
Get into your casting, people. Get your ears ready.
No, we get other people to do that. We just talk shit all day.
Yeah. Yes. So, but they still need to get into it.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Sign up to the SBS one, Zwift cast, and maybe, just maybe another one else.
A new one
coming along. There's always time to talk drunk. I like it. It's bikes. It's good. It's fun. Still summer days, even though it's autumn, or wherever you're watching from, is likely to be spring now. So the sun should be out. Enjoy your bike rides, and we shall see you next episode.
Next time.
I've got no idea when it's going to be. It'll be soon though. Thanks for coming, Von.
It's good fun.
Where's dinner?
It's the next Roadhouse.
No, not doing Roadhouse. Roadkill?
Oh.